with you. Who, as of right now, who do you think is running back one for Miami?
Well, let's define it. Are we talking the guy that gets the starts, or are we going to say the guy that will end up with the most yards and carries? Because I have different answers for those.
I'm saying at the end of spring practice, who do you think is running back one, like on the depth chart?
You know, we have a penchant for seniority and favoritism, so I really wouldn't be surprised if Cam Harris is getting he gets the first snap of the season and therefore is the starter. That wouldn't surprise me at all. However, I think this is a Don Chaney breakout year, and I think for all intents and purposes, he will be our primary running back for most of the year.
Okay. What are your Steph? I mean, I think we're all in agreement that Don Chaney is going to take a big leap year 2. What kind of progress do you think we see Jalen Knighton make?
I think Jalen Knighton becomes that safety valve in the passing game. Don't get me wrong, he has the ability to run between the tackles and be that running back, but I think he'll take on the half of the running back duties that Duke Johnson kind of had. And not saying that he will have that type of productivity, but what I'm saying is he'll be that safety valve from the running back room that when King has an issue, or if he needs to look left or right, he's going to find Knighton in a flat, or he's going to find Knighton on a wheel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a big Knighton fan. We saw flashes of that explosiveness last year. I mean, the Louisville game where he had that long touchdown pass. So I guess, that adds to your point that he can be that kind of threat in the string game or whatever. So I think that him and Chaney, because this is hard, because when Cam wants to be good, like when Cam is good, he is really, really effective at running the ball. Steph, who do you think is running back one at the end of spring?
Geez, that's a tough one. It really is, because Cam is a very good running back. I mean, I don't want anyone to assume that he's not a good running back, because he's excellent. I think he does a lot of things well, but he's not excellent at one thing. I feel like Chaney he is excellent at just playing the running back position. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, when you look at Chaney, there's nothing about his game that says, you know what? He is completely lacking in this one area.
Yeah.
Across the board, he hits every single check mark. Like he's amazing across the board, and I love Cam, and I think it'll be more of a compliment. I mean, we all have the idea that this staff does like to play its older players, and there's benefit to that as well. So we will see some kind of balance there. But I mean, if you're talking about starts, it's going to be Cam. If you're talking about production, it's going to be Chaney.
I like that. I think that's fair. Cam.
I was a big Cam Harris believer at the beginning of last season. There was at one point where I was floating the idea of him running for 1,000 yards being possible, and obviously that was not one of my stronger takes of the offseason. But this year I just feel different about it, man. I think it was, and I don't want it to sound like I'm going too hard, like in on Cam personally, right? Because there could be stuff going on behind the scenes that we have no idea about, whether it's family life, personal life, mental health, all that kind of stuff. Like I'm not trying to speak towards any of that, but what I am saying is like it raised concern for me the way that he handled how the season progressed. Don Chaney came on really strong, and I felt like I just didn't love how Cam Harris responded to that. I felt like he just kind of faded to the background and was like upset about it without doing much to really clamp down on his starting job.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah, and so, I'm not trying to speak towards his character with that, but all I'm saying is like, if we're viewing, we're analysts, right, for football. So if we're viewing this stuff as commodity type stuff, I'd be selling my Cam Harris stock right now.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. With the stock market fad, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm saying at the end of spring, the depth chart reads Cam Harris, Don Chaney, Jalen Knighton. But I think that is but all three are going to get like more than enough playing time.
Yep.
Would you guys agree?
Yes.
I agree with that for sure.
Okay.
And I'll probably lose all my credibility by saying this. And I don't want it to be taken one for one here, but this does remind me slightly of the Georgia trio in the mid 2000s when they had Chubb, Gurley, and Michelle on the same team.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying any of our backs are at that level because
Yeah.
we'll always say, hey, what they did in the NFL means that they're this great. So we just have college players at this moment. But I do see it kind of breaking out that way where one guy will be that clear production horse. And then you're going to have I think Cam's going to be in the middle where he'll take on that intermediate role. And then you'll see Knight in that Michelle role where he comes in when he's needed more in the passing game. But I do hope that our ceiling is that Georgia trio.
Yeah. Well, I like that. And I agree with what you're saying, and I know that you're saying this as well. But I agree with you. I think we can be like the Nordstrom Rack version of that trio.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's there. We're not the Lexus. We're the Toyota Camry version of that.
Hey.
But you know what? You can get some nice clothes in Nordstrom Rack.
That's right.
That's where I shop, bro. Come on now. Okay. All right. Now moving to the most frustrating position group on the entire damn team, the wide receivers. I don't know where to begin. Last year, obviously, I mean, Jordan and I were all aboard the D. Wiggins train. That fell about 800 yards short.
That was my absolute worst take last year.
Yeah, that was bad for us. That was bad. Mark Pope, again, did not live up to expectations. Mike Harley started to turn it on at the end or at the midway through the season. And he actually, he finished with a, really good stat line, in my opinion. He was clutch, especially in the NC State game. We added Charleston Rambo. We have other guys like Keyshawn Smith, Xavier Restrepo that are second-year guys now. The wide receivers make me so angry. I'm hoping and I'm praying that that the younger guys get more chance to play, and second, that we see the older guys start to mature in their final year with Rob Likens. Steph, who is the wide receiver that you are most looking forward to watch in the spring?
I mean, I'm mostly looking to see Michael Redding III. I mean, he's been my guy. He's my Jake Garcia. Like whenever I see Michael Redding's name, like my brain just lights up. I want to see him take on that elite role that we're looking for in that big-bodied receiver that has pretty much everything across the board that you can put across from your Mike Harley or your Mike Pope on the other side and just let him go to work, throw the ball up and let him do his thing because he has that ability. He has that 41-inch vert. He's got a 4.5 speed. The guy's maybe 210 right now, 6'2". He's a huge receiver, and he has all the traits. So I want to see what he can do, and then I want to see Mike Harley just be consistent, be what he was last year. I think a lot of times when you see a player do well, you expect the same thing the next year, but that's not the case with Miami. A lot of times we'll have fall off. So I want to see him maintain what he did last year and continue being the leader in that room.
Okay, now, but when it comes to D. Wiggins and Mark Pope, what are your thoughts?
Extreme frustration because, I mean, I wrote an article for SAW last year where I said who's going to be the top dog in the room, and I charted everybody down. I had Pope. I actually had Pope fifth behind Redding, Peyton, Harley, but then I had D. Wiggins first because Wiggins in his sophomore year gave us so many indicators that he was going to take over the room. I mean, what we saw him do in the big games, even though in 2019 there weren't that many big games, but when there were, he was the guy. And he was the guy that was making the big plays. He was catching the ball, and we felt comfortable with him in that slot. And then last year happens, and he just kind of blended into the background. And so those two are really, really frustrating. Pope is more so the confidence guy, right? He has shown, at least last year, that he can do it. He had a good, solid second, third receiver year, where he didn't have to be the number one guy, but he did his thing. And he had 2 games in the middle against VTech and I want to say NC State where he really
Yeah.
balled out. He did excellent. But then his confidence drops off. He has a couple drops, and then he just kind of disappears for the rest of the season. And I think if he can feel comfortable and be Noodle, that everyone wants to call him, be that guy that just has the confidence, has the ability to get off the line and make things happen, then the sky's the limit. He has all the talent. He just has to be confident.
Well, I mean, it's his last year to do it, so it's now or never, man. Jordan, I'm not even going to ask you about D. Wiggins or Mark Pope because I know how you and I, we've had it. We've had it. I want to ask you, who's your one wide receiver that you think can surprise some people in the spring?
Okay, so I first want to touch on Charleston Rambo. He's not going to be my answer just because, he's new, right? So obviously he's the guy that everyone is interested in. I have very high expectations for Charleston Rambo. I actually think that there's a chance that him and Mike Harley could prove to be a dynamic duo for us at wide receiver. So I have those two slotted as my starters going into game one. And I really like both of them this year, man. I wasn't as high on Harley as I should have been last year. I was still kind of a doubter, and but his season last year spoke for itself, right? He had a really great year. And now on to your question, I'm going to say Keyshawn Smith is my guy this year. I just really, I really like him, man. I think he has. I like his attitude. I think he has all of the physical tools and just speed and height. So I agree with you, Steph, and that Michael Redding I'm still a fan of. I'm a believer in him, but me personally, I would bet on Keyshawn Smith for this year.
Yeah,
okay.
He's excellent.
But they're both supremely talented. So like I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just that's just my feeling, my gut feeling right now.
No, that's fine.
Sure.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm really excited to see Rambo too. I did a write up of him last week for State of the U. I've brought this up a few times. Heading into last year, Charleston Rambo was like in Todd McShay's first mock draft that he did for this upcoming draft. He had Charleston Rambo as a first round pick.
Yeah.
And then obviously he fell off during 2020. If he can get back, because I just don't think he is supposed to be a number one guy in the offense. I just don't think that fits him because he had CeeDee Lamb the year before at Oklahoma. But if he can get back to where he was in 2019, I think you're absolutely right, Jordan. Him and Harley could be a dynamic duo. So I think at one position I'm starting Charleston Rambo, then in the slot I'm starting Mike Harley. I'm really excited to see what Xavier Restrepo does, and also I love Keyshawn Smith and Michael Redding. That dude's just a beast. Yeah. He looks like a tank. And then Keyshawn Smith just has that track speed, long strides, and so good length. And just the one position, like, do you start Mark Pope? Is he one of the starting receivers after spring? What do you think, Steph?
I want to say yes, because he's been there, he's done it a little bit, but it's hard. We don't know what to expect with him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to tentatively say no. I mean, I know I had a Hot Takes article that kind of said Pope could be the guy this year. It could do it this year, but I need to see it. I need to see results, because Hot Takes are just hot takes, but they're not real.
Right.
And I see Rambo kind of taking that second starting spot. He's basically what D. Wiggins is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and one guy who we haven't even mentioned, Jeremiah Payton.
Oh Lord.
Oh God.
Started there.
I'm kind of out on Peyton right now, and that's not like a definite take. You know what I mean? Like I'm not giving up on the guy, but I pretty much cooled off on him almost totally.
Well, and it's the thing with him is this: he's the penultimate like Miami Hurricanes player.
Yeah,
he comes in with all the hype, big time receiver, high 4-star, and then we just throw all the expectations on top of him, all the hype, all the expectations got thrown on top of him, And then we have the crappy year, and we're like, you know what? It's the quarterback, it's the offense. He'll be fine next year. And then we get the quarterback, and we get the offense.